Hello YouTubers, this is the Scribe and thank you for watching this YouTube video. So, I was watching the Young Turks, was it Young Turks on YouTube? You know those little fuckers basically who just like to spew some propaganda that sometimes say some good things as well. I mean, I'm not going to completely call them monsters or anything like that. I don't think they are. But they were mentioning that, I think he only had one car. Now, that might not actually be completely true. Perhaps one of the cars was in the garage. But what I find a little bit strange, and this is what I like to say is selective ideologies, is that they were talking about climate change just a number of weeks before then, and also about people like Andrew Tate having too many cars. More than one car. How many families need more than one car? I mean, Cenk has been known to say that too. So why was he so hyped up and angry about, Louder with Crowder only having one car? I mean, wouldn't that be a good thing? Or would you prefer him to have 50 gas guzzling monster trucks and drive those around with big billowing steams of soot and smog and carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide that you all seem to fear released into the atmosphere and destroy the ozone layer and cause acid rain and increase the temperature of the earth to millions upon millions of degrees Celsius? Would you prefer that? I mean, it's selective outrage. It's also selective agendas. Because quite literally, they only went after him, really, simply because of one thing. One thing only. Because they were jealous of him. That's what a lot of people went after Steve Crowder for. They were jealous of him. He's done so well on the internet. They wanted to find some dirt. It's politically motivated. And, I don't actually trust anybody really in the political climate too much. Because obviously, if they're getting paid to do this sort of stuff, there's incentives there, especially when you've got things like Daily Wire and The Blaze and stuff like that. Some part of me really thinks, is something really going on? Is this controlled opposition? I mean, who can just pull out £50 million to offer that to Steve Crowder, allegedly? But I'm not going to condemn the man for it. I'm not going to condemn him for not having 50 monster trucks or not having a number of yachts and cars and trucks and lorries and stuff like that, so he can drive it around and create as much pollution as possible. Because don't forget, if you got loads and loads of cars, it also takes a lot of carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide to make those. So the selective outrage, I mean, if he had more than one car, let's say if he had 5 cars, you'll be angry about that too. If he had 2 cars, many of you say, why does he need more than one car? And other things you've not thought of is maybe he had to work. I mean, when he was arguing, it wasn't even an argument, it was more like a falling out. And if that was his worst, I mean, people say you have to judge people by how they are at the worst time. He wasn't raising his voices. Yes, he was being a little bit of a dickhead here and there. And I don't believe in controlling somebody. So I've got like a bit of a cold, I think. I don't believe in controlling somebody. But I do believe that people need to vent out some of their frustrations sometimes, as long as it's done in a healthy way. Unfortunately, people do break up. Many of you don't seem to realise that people actually do break up. And when they break up, they sell some of the nastiest shit they ever can at that person. And if that's him at his worst, he's like a fucking living saint. if that's the worst he's ever been, he's a living fucking saint. I mean, he should be patted on the back, he should be congratulated, because I can guarantee if you took any of the other people who are criticising him, they'll have fucking snakes and skeletons in their cupboard. They always do. They always have something in their cupboard that will prove them to be some of the biggest scumbags you could ever imagine. And it tells because they're going after him. Now, Candace Owens, who is another YouTuber, seems to have got upset with Stephen Crowder. And I do understand the bickering a bit. I mean, people do have fallen outs, and he did actually, I think, mention to keep this thing a secret. And then Candace Owens came on YouTube later and said, he's a monster. Now, don't forget they had a bit of a falling out. We don't know the full story of that, but what we do know is Stephen Crowder made some accusations against her. And then they're kind of minor accusations, they're not like damning accusations. And then she just turned around and called her a monster. Now, she has every right to do that. I mean, I'm not going to go against her. But, I mean, he's a monster according to people like the Young Turks simply because he doesn't have more than one car, even though he does. Right, so these people don't think. I mean, have you ever thought that car could have been in a garage at the time, being fixed? He didn't think of that. Because quite literally, it wasn't about being logical. It's about spreading as much bullshit about the man as possible. What you did there was create a mountain out of a molehill. Just to destroy the man. Just to make him look really, really as bad as possible. And you also created a situation where, because people seem to have a lot of people out there who watch these Young Turks seem to have a problem with memory. They don't seem to remember things very, very well at all. And because of that, what happens is, when they come online and they're showing a video, as soon as they've seen the video, they forgot about it already. Because they can't imagine things, they can't play it back in their mind, so that they can actually go back to it and consider all the arguments that the Young Turks has actually given. So when they're saying, this is the most awful thing they've ever seen, well, Stephen Crowder wasn't actually screaming and shouting at his wife, even though they're having what we would call a marriage breakdown and a breakup. His wife was leaving him, okay? And then the cameras came on. And there's other people, they come on and then they were saying that, there's gaps in the video. So what? Even that doesn't condemn the woman. It doesn't condemn her at all. And I'll tell you why it doesn't condemn her. Because maybe something sensitive was said in that video that could have given away addresses, bank details, car details, private information, names of family. You just don't know what was going on. And we had some people come online, I think on a Destiny channel or something like that, and they were just breaking down the time, saying, look, this has been cut, this has been cut, and this is evidence that this has been cut. Okay. Maybe the woman just comes on and says, well, the reason why that was cut is because my family's names were actually said in the video. I didn't want you guys to know about it. And suddenly, all that evidence of things being cut just falls on its fucking face. And they don't think about that because they don't think. All they do is try to create situations in their head that would demonize another person. Now, I don't think that Stephen Crowder's a monster, okay? And if that is the worst he's ever been, then my God, he's a fucking living saint. I mean, he never raised his voice. The most he said, fuck you up, or something like that, and then they left each other. He got out of the situation. Although, I mean, he did say some things that were a little bit stupid, put the gloves on and do wifely things. I mean, he was being a bit of a dickhead, I suppose. And he could have handled it a lot better. But that doesn't, it doesn't make him the next Adolf Hitler. It doesn't make him Stalin or Paul Potts. It doesn't make him these, or it doesn't make him Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that. It doesn't make him a monster. All it does is just prove that he's human, and people have to learn that humans do stupid shit and make mistakes. I make mistakes. You could record me at some point in history, or in the past, or even in the future, and I'm going to be in an embarrassing situation, and I personally wouldn't want to be judged like Steve Crowder has in that situation. I wouldn't want to be judged as a terrible person or loser or something like that just because of a few-minute video. Because quite often people do not think before they write these comments. They're virtue signaling. They don't give a shit about the actual truth. All they give a shit about is entertainment. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye for now. So, what do you think, by the way, guys? Should Steve Crowder have 20 gas guzzling, carbon dioxide making cars, or should he just have one family car? What do you think? Goodbye for now. See you later.